But I think the really interesting thing about Australia and the country, and Australians do love their country, and they love it physically very, very, like all people love their country and the physical nature. But I think they would always think that the indigenous people know it better.
Tell me, it's your generation that had changed the idea of about the natives of Australian natives, the Aborigines.
It was our generation that changed.
I mean, well, they have discovered them and they wanted to re-put in...
I think our generation and generations immediately before and after were very concerned about the land rights for indigenous people, if that what you mean? Yes. And I suppose with the initially with the when the Whitlam government came to power, which I think was probably 73 or 72, they were immediately active in many issues that had been ignored. Among them Aboriginal land rights. But the thing about land rights was fought over a very, very long period, and I think it's still probably being fought. And in all those battles, there's a lot of backwards.
And now they are sort of outcasts, or no?
Oh, I think the damage that was done to the indigenous people was huge from the beginning. I mean, it's like another... When you have a 50,000-year-old culture being invaded by a 19th century or 18th century culture, and they're not destabilized and shocked and having their land robbed, it damages the people hugely, and the old structures broke down and alcohol was available, which they were traditionally not used to, and they were treated very, very badly, and there was a systematic sort of racist policy which was to breed the blackness out of them. And I have friends who, discovered that they were octoroons, 1/8, but this was a government policy that. So it was an incredibly that they were placed on the very lowest social level, and they suffered from huge cultural shock and privation, and so when you say outcasts.
Novels that deal with art and fraud. It's my life as a fake and theft, a love story. Do you believe that lying is belongs to literature, to art?
A lot of these things seem to be the same in these books, and I would add my novel Illiwaka too, which is narrated by a 139-year-old liar. I think some of this, I could say, well, I love art, and I am very intrigued and amused and fascinated by fraud. So, and I'm not going to justify any of that. I would say, that just tickles my fancy. But when I'm thinking about a book like My Life is a Fake, what it seems that the important thing that drives me in that is it's about the power of the imagination. Somebody has invented this poet and invented this poetry. Well, you better be careful what you imagine, because if you imagine this, then it really might happen. So this is sort of saying that the imagination is a very powerful and a very strong thing.
Το σφάλμα μου ήταν πως για λίγο, θεωρώντας πως μπορεί να έκανα και λάθος, Επέτρεψα στους ντίλερ να δουν τον πίνακα «Εγώ ο νομοθέτης» και είδα τα μάτια τους να τον κοιτάζουν απλανή και διαπίστωσα πως ποτέ δεν θέλησαν πραγματικά να τον δουν και πως είχαν έρθει γιατί ήθελαν κάτι από τη Μαρλέν. Όμως ακόμα και αυτή η συγκεκριμένη ταπείνωση δεν έπρεπε να μεγαλοποιηθεί. Οι καλλιτέχνες είναι συνηθισμένοι στην ταπείνωση. Από εκεί ξεκινάμε και είμαστε πάντα προετοιμασμένοι να επιστρέψουμε στην ακραία αποτυχία, στα κατακάθια, στον πάτο του βαρελιού, στην απώλεια του ταλέντου μας από το αλκοόλ και τη μιζέρια. Ζούμε με τη γνώση πως πλάι στο Σεζάν και στον Πικάσο είμαστε ένα τίποτα, πάντα είμαστε ένα τίποτα, και πως θα ξεχαστούμε πριν καν να μας σκεπάσει το χώμα. Ντροπή, αμφιβολία, απέχθεια για τον εαυτό μας, όλα αυτά είναι το καθημερινό μας μενού.
How was your cinema experience with Wim Wenders until the end of the war?
Well, I think Wim made the film that Wim wanted to make, and after 3 years, the film that he made was pretty much the one he described to me the first time we met, and I think I was like was the most expensive film he'd ever made. It was $23 million, which was a lot of money then. We travelled first class. We had very good wine. I had a lot of trouble persuading him to put ice in the red wine in the middle of the Australian desert, because you don't put ice in red wine, but we had a pleasant time, and he made the film he wanted to make.
But when you're writing the script, is the same, do you have the same ideology of the writing? I mean, the cinema interests more people than a normal book.
To many people, yes, it's a big collaborative thing. Yes, no, it's quite different. I mean, one of the things, Wim had a story, so when I'm talking to him about writing this story, I say, well, when you talk about this journey around the world, are you thinking, say, about the planet? Are you thinking about the climate? If you're going to circle the world, what? So we were continually in a relationship where I'm trying to find a place for me to make sense of this beast. And I suppose it's sort of like he's presented the beast to me, and I'm going in there trying to give it lungs and a heart and a circulation, and to make sort of sense of, for me, of the thing that he's done. So that's what I tried to do, and I think I didn't succeed in doing what I was trying to do, and I think maybe he succeeded in what he was trying to do. So that's...
This is Soho?
Yeah, this is the very bottom of Soho.
Are you have many occasions in this very big city to meet each other, the writers,
Yeah.
intellectuals?
I think it's...
Or it's the city that
No, it's
eats everything?
No, well, it does eat everything, of course, but no, it's actually, you can be very social. I think Francis and I spend most of our time trying not to be social. Because you could certainly spend a very busy life being forever going to book parties and cocktail parties and those sort of things, which I don't care for very much. And we just have a few friends who we like to see and spend time with.
Before to start to write, do you have all the book in your mind, or you discover it?
No, and often I'm 200 pages into a novel at the moment, and I sort of fell off a cliff. You know, it's Edgar Doctorow says sometimes about writing, you can only see as far ahead. It's like driving with the headlights of a car. That's how far ahead you can really see, and I think that's a very good image. And sometimes, you know, for me, with Parrott and Olivier in America, the difficulty in just getting them to America occupied me so completely. And even though I, at the beginning, sketched out what would happen later, all of my energy and all of my thoughts were getting into this unlikely pairing and this sort of situation where they finally would get here. And then I got them here and I went, well, what am I going to do with them now? A little, you know, it wasn't like I was a complete naive, and I certainly had a plan and an argument and all of those things. But there was a lot of invention that one had to stop, sit down, and take note of where one was and begin to make notes, almost like the beginning of a book. And I'm at this point right now with the novel I'm writing, where I've got to almost to the, you know, halfway through the book, and there's a character who's always been there, and I suddenly realise I don't know anything about her, and so I'm in the process of researching, writing, making hundreds and hundreds of pages of notes, being in deep despair.
How you know that one idea is good and another is not good?
Well, you just say, is this my idea? I sometimes feeling very depressed about a book. I haven't done this for a while, but I would sit down and write to myself, and I would tell myself, this is the book that's about this and this and this and this. And I'd actually write all these words down, you know. And then I would type, so could somebody write a book about this? And I'd go, yes. So, well, it's you. So, in other words...
The critics of the newspapers, they must not know this paper.
They mustn't know, right, yeah. Well, I'm sure you have very good critics in Greece.
Why?
Well-educated, intelligent, sensitive people. None of them jealous or bored or sleepy. No. Quite different to here.
Ο Γιώργος Ξένος είχε τραύματα από σφαίρες στη μέση κάθε παλάμης και τα δάχτυλά του δεν έκλειναν. Οπότε έπιανε το μαχαίρι και το πυρούνι σαν εκπαιδευμένη αρκούδα. Δεν τρεπόταν γι' αυτό. Επιδείκνυε με περηφάνεια, θα σας δείξω σύντροφοι, πώς αναγκάστηκε να βάλει τα χέρια του πάνω στο μαξιλάρι στο κρεβάτι μιας γυναίκας. Οι φασίστες τον πυροβόλησαν με ένα μάουζερ. Μετά σου έλεγε και τι διαμετρήματος ήταν. Έλληνες ήταν οι μπάσταρδοι, όχι οι Γερμανοί. Γελούσε. Ακόμα και τα δόντια που του έλειπαν φάνταζαν ηρωικά. Πήγε στο Σάμερβιλ τον Σεπτέμβριο του 1966, λίγες εβδομάδες πριν την επίσκεψη του Μακναμάρα. Είχε λάσπες στις μπότες του, καθαρές άσπρες κάλτσες γυρισμένες και το καλοκαιρινό του σόρτς άφηνε να φαίνονται τα μειώδη κοντά του πόδια. «Δεν υπάρχουν οι αναγκαίες συνθήκες για επανάσταση», έλεγε. «Εδώ είναι Αμερική. Ο Θεός να ευλογεί την Αμερική», τους έλεγε. Και παρόλα αυτά τον λάτρευαν, αυτόν, έναν εργάτη από το Σάουθι. Έλεγε ότι δεν υπήρχαν επαναστατικές συνθήκες στην Αμερική και δεν τον λιθοβολούσαν. Έπιναν από το ούζο του, έπαιζαν χαρτιά και έκαναν μπραντεφέρ κατάχαμα.